started. I'm going to start the recording, and we are going to go for it. So a lot of you guys have been requesting that I do some more training on host coaching. So I figured I had plans to do something else, so I'm kind of switching it up, and we're going to focus on host coaching because host coaching, of course, is like the bread and butter of our business, okay? I know you guys have heard me say it 1,000 times, and I'm preaching to the choir by now, but you actually make all of your money in host coaching, and you pick up your check at the show, okay? So let's examine a little bit about what host coaching is first. So have you guys ever been to a show or had a show where you arrived and you were the only one that ever showed up? Anybody ever had that happen? Absolutely. Okay. And, I know people are going to find this hard to believe because, everybody likes to say Becky's the rock star, blah, blah, blah. But I've had it happen in my 4 years, like on multiple occasions, trust me. There's been many times when I've got to the show and nobody ever showed up. And it was just me and my host and host husband, maybe, and their dog or their cat or whatever. And, we still cook and sit down and chat and, talk and do those things. But nobody ever showed up. So when something like that happens, I find that it's a good time to kind of be self-reflective. And what I quickly realized is that I had done a really poor job of host coaching that host. So it was only natural that, nobody showed up. Like if you're not going to put the time and energy into it, then, really nobody's going to show up if you don't know that there's a party. So not only did I let myself down, but I really, most importantly, I let my host down. Would you guys all agree? Brittany, why are there two of you? Okay, now there's only one. Stop that. Don't play games with me.
Because my phone was dying, so I logged on my computer, and that's why I'm geeking, because it was echoing. I can hear you on my phone and in my computer.
That's scary. You're going to have nightmares about that tonight.
Jimmy was just sitting there shaking his head.
This is bad as Saturday. No, I've had nightmares every night.
Amen, sister. So anyway, I feel like, in those situations, I let myself down, but most importantly, I let my host down. Would you guys agree that really the host is probably the one that missed out on the most, with my lack of host coaching? Because think about it, she didn't have any of her friends show up. So that kind of hurts them morale-wise. They think, oh my gosh, I have no friends. I have nobody that wants to come party with me. They end up struggling to even get their show to qualify most of the time then. So they earn the bare minimum of what we offer as far as the rewards go. And then, they put out the money for the ingredients too. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation for our hosts when we don't do a good job host coaching them. Believe it or not every host knows how to have a good party, okay? And that's why it's our job to teach them how to have a good party. I think the worst people that we're always guilty of prejudging that they know how to have a party is other consultants. When you work with another consultant from another business, a lot of times that's when I found I had the worst results, because I automatically assume that they know how to have a good party, but their expectations are not my expectations of what a good party is. So again, the other part of that self-reflection, and actually I recently did this, with this program that I'm involved in, I've had to do a lot of like self-examination and see, areas where I really needed to tweak as far as, my leadership skills and my host coaching skills and my party skills. And one of the things that I found was all of the people that I did a really poor job host coaching, guess what? They've never had another party with me in 4 years. Anybody want to guess why?
They didn't get the stuff they thought they would.
Exactly. So shame on me. Like when I realized that, it must have been about a week ago that when I was starting to kind of write up the material for what we're talking about tonight. But I was like, oh my gosh, like I sucked at it. Like, you know, yes, I've been doing this for 4 years, and you're going to get better the more you do something. The more you practice something, the more natural it's going to become, kind of like when we pick up the phone and are, you know, either doing customer care calls or trying to get bookings. It becomes more natural or more of a routine the more you do it. Host coaching is kind of the same way. It's going to become more natural the more you do it. So when I realized, though, that they never rescheduled another show with me, I wonder if those people have had shows. Did they go to another consultant? Did I lose their business forever? And I would say the answer is probably yes. You know, I mean, I haven't asked them. I haven't gotten that far to actually ask them whether they've had parties for anyone else, because honestly, I don't know that I want to know the answer to it, because, you know, that's going to hurt. You know, that I did that poor of a job post coaching, that they would walk away from me as their consultant. But you know what? As a person, I understand why they would do that. So basically, my moral to that story is it all starts with us. And when you treat your business like a business, you're going to get business kind of results. Okay. If you treat it like a hobby, then you're going to get no results. So you really have to examine, you know, those of you guys that are in this and do full-time jobs, you may only do 1 or 2 shows a month, but don't you want them to be the best 1 or 2 shows a month possible for your hosts and for yourselves?
Well, if it's not a good show for the host, it's not going to be a good show for you.
Exactly. So
it's a big circle.
A very, very big and vicious circle, which is why it's the most important part of being a consultant of anything, is, you know, it's part of customer service. You know, yes, they're a host for you, but it's also you're providing a service to them. You know, this is our job. Even if it's only your part-time gig, you know, that you do once or twice a month, it's still your job to make sure that we're taking care of those hosts and getting them everything that they desire. So host coaching all starts at the booking, okay? What you do and you stress in that conversation will control the outcome of your conversation and your results. So when I say that it all starts at the booking, you know, we get bookings in several different ways. We get bookings at the show. We get bookings on the phone. And I handle them both a little bit differently in how I start the host coaching process. I would tell you that most of my bookings come from shows. Okay. I get most of my bookings at the show. So the best thing about that is that I don't have to worry about all those phone calls to try to get bookings. I get them at the show. So that's a nice circle to be in. So let's say I'm at a show. Okay. The most important thing for me to have at that show is host packets that are ready, okay, ready to go. Anybody want to guess why it's important to actually have the host packets with you when you book shows at the show?
Because you want them to have the enthusiasm to make the wish list and to give you the list of the people they're going to invite as soon as possible, so they're making a commitment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that process starts right there. So not only are you going to save yourself money, okay, because then you're not having to mail out the host packet, which costs, you know, now like $6, which is ridiculous. It saves you money, it saves you time, but it also starts that level of expectation of what a good party looks like. So the very first thing when you're booking that show that you want to find out from your host is, what is your preferred method of contact? Okay. This is really important because we all communicate in different ways. Whereas you guys know that for Becky, it's easy to get a hold of me via a text message or Facebook message. Becky Chilcote, it's easier for me to get a hold of her through an email. Okay. We all have a different way that we like to be communicated to. So the same goes with our hosts. You know, if I prefer to actually pick up the phone and call my host, well, what if it's not my host's preferred method? I mean, what if she's shy? Is she going to dodge my phone calls? And then I'm basically wasting my time, right? So you want to find out what their preferred method of contact is. Is it email? Is it phone? Is it text message? Is it Facebook Messenger? Find that out first, okay? Now, if you are booking your show outside of the show, again, you're going to want to find out that piece of information as far as what their best way of contacting is, okay? So, where did I lost my train of thought. Okay. So at the party, you are, you know, booking your date. You let them know, and I pencil in people. Okay, I do not write people in permanent ink in my calendar. Call me OCD. It's just my thing. I do not like to have markouts in my calendar. It drives me crazy. Yes, I'm that person. So everybody gets penciled into my calendar, and I let them know I'm penciling you in, okay, into my calendar, so that in a couple days from now, when I follow back up with you, then I will ink you in when I know that you're committed, you know, to that date and time. So right there is when I start my host coaching process, if I'm booking at a show. And what I do is I let them know that, you know, this host pack is important. This is like your how-to guide for having a successful Pampered Chef cooking show, okay? So I go over the packet and I stress what's important. What are the two most important things about host coaching? What do you guys think? When you're stressing things to your host, what are the two most important things to stress?
How the show is gonna work. Like I do station style, so I explain to them what I'm gonna do at their show.
Okay. Anybody else have an idea? What's important? When you're talking to them initially, they're just booking the show, you're giving them the host packet, and you're starting to go through that host packet. What are the two things that you want to stress to them?
Invite everybody you know, no matter what.
Absolutely. Attendance and orders. Okay? The more people, the more orders, the more orders, the more people. Okay? It's all a numbers game. Everything in this business is a numbers game. So, you know, if you have a low show average, the average consultant average in the company is around $550 per show. Isn't it a little bit smarter to work smarter and not harder? Okay? So when you increase that show average, meaning that you go from a normal $550 show average to having a $750 show average, every show that you're now at, you're making more money on, which means that you can actually have less shows but make the same amount of money. So like me, I aim to have 10 to 12 cooking shows a month. That's what my goal is for the month. But I know that I'm going to have cancellations. That's just a natural part of this process. So when you schedule 10 to 12, you can normally expect, if I schedule 12, I can normally expect to hold 10. Okay? You're normally going to drop a couple shows throughout the month, and that's a normal thing. That doesn't mean that's nothing bad on you. That's a normal part of this process, unfortunately. So when you're stressing to them attendance and orders, the other things are just naturally going to come up. So, you know, the meal, you know, what the menu, the recipe, the what kind of show it's, what the show is going to look like. All of those things are details. Okay. So it's kind of like features and benefits where we're talking about products. All of the details of the show are just that. They're the features. Okay. The benefits are what? Them getting everything that they want from their wish list, right? That's why they're having that show with you. So once they know that, you know, you need to, we want them to have on average anywhere from 10 to 12 people at their party. You want to stress to them 5 orders before the show. So collecting those outside orders, okay? And why is that important to have outside orders when you get there? Anybody know why it's important to have outside orders? From, like, let's say, you know, the people that are those last minute people that call and say they're not going to be able to come, or the ones that, you know, live out of state.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It changes your mindset, okay? When you walk into a house or a host house, and let's say they have $200 or $250 in outside orders when you get there, what does that automatically do for you mentally?
You know you have a show.
Right.
No matter what.
Exactly.
You don't have to work as hard.
It takes that stress off your shoulders at that moment, okay? And what it allows you to do is to actually have fun. When you have fun at a party, okay, yes, we're there to do a job, but our job can be very fun. Like, I am the biggest goofball at my shows. I like to have fun. I like to joke around, but that's how I build relationships with people. And that's why they keep coming back to me, is because they can expect that it's going to be comedy hour when I'm around normally. So that stress is now gone. Okay. If I get to a show and they don't have any outside orders, now I know I have to work a little bit harder. And now I have the stress on my shoulders, because now what I'm thinking and what's running through my mind, has anybody ever been in this situation? What's running through your mind is, oh my gosh, I've got to get this party qualified. Oh my gosh, you know, I need at least $200 in sales, blah, 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 blah. And what stops happening is that you stop having fun and people pick up on it. Because then it's like a real job, okay? Instead of fun. It's like a job. Our job should not look like a job. Our job should look like fun. Yes, we know that there's work involved, but this is also a very fun business. So that fun aspect of it is what's going to attract your bookings and your recruit leads. Okay, when they see how easy your job is and how much fun you're having, that's when you're going to see your amount of bookings go up and your recruit leads go up. So attendance and orders are what drive your results. Okay. The next step that you want to have them, you know, as you're talking about to them, okay, and remember, we're still at the party and you're going through the host packet. So we're talking attendance, first of all, attendance and orders, okay? The next thing you want to talk to them about is, why are you booking a show with me? What are those ticket items that you're, you know, are just screaming off of the catalog pages at you? What does your wish list look like? And what I like to do is, at that moment when I'm talking, again, this is all about a relationship kind of thing. Find out, you know, what is that one product that they really are after? You know, is it the rock crock? Is it the grill pan? Is it the double burner grill pan? But from there, I have them, now we have the ability to go on to, have them go on to the website, onto your website, and actually create a wish list there. Or I would normally, before that, I would have them email a copy of their wish list to me. What do you think that does? Having the host wish list. What do you guys think?
Gives them something to shoot for. You know, to get out there and get the orders, and, you know, or invite
more people to come.
Okay, let me ask you guys. If you start off a month with no goal in mind for yourself or your business, how hard do you work toward it, towards something?
You don't. You don't have anything to work towards.
And you aren't really motivated to work toward anything.
Okay. So for those of you that are on my team, you know, like the first day I posted about that salad in a jar set that's coming out that we can earn this month with $7.50 in sales. And you guys immediately seen there's an incentive. And how many of you guys were like, I'm all over that. I'm getting that for free. I want that. Exactly. So you automatically know that's a small goal right there. But you know you're working towards something. So the hosts are the same way. And this goes with anything in life. When you need something to happen, or when you're trying to reach something, you have to know what you're reaching for in order to obtain it. You know, Heather up there in my top left corner, you know, she's got a goal of never having to walk back into Burger King doors one day, right?
Amen.
So what does Heather have to do to make that happen? Heather's got to have a goal and a plan, right? So we're helping this host put together her goal and her plan by creating that wish list. And the reason I have them send me that wish list, or now being able to view the wish list, is I almost use that as ammunition. I know I hate to sound this way, but it's true. So whenever I hear, you know, in my talking and messaging or whatever with my host, oh, well, I'm really not getting, you know, a lot of people responding to me, or, you know, I haven't heard back from so-and-so, or they've only invited 10 people, or, you know, all of these things. Look, we've all gone through this, right? Every one of us have gone through this. I've only invited 10 people. I then have a weapon in my hand with their wish list to be able to remind them of why they booked the party with me. Well, you know, Angela, I really want to help you get that grill pan. And in order for us to make that happen, you know, in order for us to make sure that you get that pan for 60% off this month, we're going to need to at least make sure that your show qualifies. Now, qualifying is just, you know, you're going to get it for 60% off, but I'd really love to see you get that pan for free. In order for you to get that pan for free, you know, we're going to have at least an $800 or $900 show for you to get that pan for free. And this is what that looks like. You know, this is how many orders we would need between outside orders and people at a party, okay? So you take that, whatever that item is that they're after, and you break that down into real-time numbers. Remember when I told you guys I think it was last week or the week before, when we were talking about, you know, like this month's special, the 60% off. You can put it out there to someone that, you know, oh my gosh, the Rock Rock is 60% off. But doesn't it sound a whole lot more appealing when you say, oh my gosh, you can get that Rock Rock for $49 this month? So it's all a numbers game. It's a trick of the mind. When you start breaking down the numbers for people and showing them, you know, in order for you to get what you're after, this is what you're going to need at your party, okay? And it's my job to help you get there. And then you say, in my experience, okay, because remember, you are teaching them how to have a good show. So when you use that line, in my experience, this is what works best, they're going to believe you. They know this is your job. And if you're treating your job like a job, then you're the teacher, you're the guide, you're the one showing them how to have the successful party. Okay. So that's kind of where I would, you know, I talk about the invitation process a little bit at that point, and I kind of go over how we're going to invite for their party. Now, again, depending on what their preferred method of contact is, if they're a phone person, then I would much rather talk to them on the phone, just because, again, you get to build a better relationship and a better connection with them versus sending the random email or the random message. When it comes to inviting is your third weapon, okay? So we have already stressed to them attendance is what's important, but the thing that we don't want to rely on is just one way of contacting people. So if you get somebody says, oh, well, we'll just invite people on Facebook. No. You're shooting yourself right in the foot. Okay. If you let that happen, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Facebook is not a reliable way of inviting people for a party. Okay. If you look at it, how many of you guys have a Facebook event going on right now for anything? Okay. Angela. How many people are invited to that event?
how about I look here? So there are, okay, 324 invited. This is a really big event. 20 going, 30 maybe.
Okay. What's that tell you numbers-wise, though? If there's 300 and something invited, and there's only 20 going,
Yeah.
that's a pretty low percentage of people that actually see that invitation on Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so if you only rely on Facebook as your only weapon or your only way of inviting people, your host is going to have to work 3 times harder to make sure that people see that invitation. You are going to be stressed out beyond belief because you're going to continue to see low numbers on that event. And it's just not going to yield you any good. So when you pair up, you know, okay, so we're going to do a Facebook invite. That's great. What other way can we do? Okay. I like to always make my host choose 2 different methods of inviting people. Okay. So if we're going to do a Facebook event, then what other way can we invite? So would you like me to mail invitations for you? I can email invitations for you. I can send out, or I can create a red stamp that you can actually text out to your friends. And then I can also give you packets of postcards that you can hand out to your friends. So I let them choose 2 methods, but I explain the features and the benefits of, you know, of all of them. Did you guys, what do you guys normally get in the mail every day? Junk. What else?
Bills.
Okay.
Magazines.
Magazines. Isn't it really nice when you get like a birthday card or an invite to something, or you know, happy mail from your director?
Yep.
Those are the things that stick out to you other than the bills and the junk, right? So mailing invitations is actually the best way to invite people because it lets them open something pleasant and happy and something that they're not immediately going to throw away. The other way that I found that is the best way is red stamping, creating a red stamp, sending it to my host, and having them text out. Because let's face it, we live in a world of technology, and how many of you guys prefer texting versus talking? Okay, so I would say that that's literally like, Ashley raised her hand. Yeah, I know, girlfriend, me too. So if that was like 75% of us on this screen prefer texting, what do you think the rest of America prefers? Probably texting versus phone. So I find that red stamp invites are kind of my number one, well, probably the number 2 after a mailed invitation.
I don't know how to do red stamp. Can you teach us sometime?
I can. The only issue is that it's an app, so there's no way for me to screen share on there. It's so simple to use. How many of you guys have used red stamp? Okay.
What if we all download it ahead of time and then get on Zoom and do it step by step?
We could do that.
Okay.
Pretty much. Have you downloaded it all, Joanne?
No.
If you download it,
Think about it. I've never worked with it at all.
yeah, all you do is just pick a picture that you like, and then you just type your information that you want. But
Well, where do you get these pictures? Are they pictures from your own album?
they have them all. They actually have a whole variety of everything. So you can click on like birthday, Mother's Day, general. They have tons of categories, and you just find one that you like, and they're all done up for you. And literally all you do is pick a picture and then type in like you're invited to so-and-so's party and put their party link, what time or day, and save it, and then you send it.
Okay. Oh,
But
I can follow directions. Let me try that this week.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's super simple. And if you get stuck, Joanne, just text me and let me know, and I can help you walk through it. But the app is, I'm pretty technology savvy for most things. I was really intimidated when people were telling me about Red Stamp until I actually opened the app and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is so simple. They made it really, really user-friendly. It is very user-friendly.
Okay. Now, what is it, or how is it that you can put your own messages on pictures? Is that also with Red Stamp?
There's like a text box, and you click in it, and then it lets you type in your stuff.
Okay, but that's not the same thing that lets you put messages on pictures?
What do you mean, like a Pampered Chef picture?
Well, you could do that, but like any kind of picture that you can like add some sort of text over top of a picture.
One app that's really good for that is WordSwag. I don't know if you've heard of that.
WordSwag. No, I'll find it though.
Yeah, try downloading both of them, play around with them, see what you like.
Yeah, and then I like Pick Collage. That's another one that's pretty easy to use.
What's that one called?
It's Pick, P-I-C, Collage. Yeah, there's a lot of really good free apps out there. And I'm cheap. You guys already know that, so I use a free version of most of them. I try to milk them out for all the work.
You were just talking about?
Sorry, I'm eating dinner. WordSwag.
Got it. Okay. I'll work on those this week.
Okay, so in their host packet that I've given them, I do always make sure that there are postcards in there. And what I try to encourage them to do is go ahead and I don't fill in the information. I don't print labels and put on there. Most of the time, what I find is I normally get the postcard invitations back from people. So I am not putting the extra time out to print labels, to put in a host packet, to send to someone, to just get them back and have a waste of supplies going on that I'm going to then throw away if I've already labeled or written on them. So the postcard invitations that I mail in their host packet, I just tell them to kind of, handwrite a couple of them out. And as they're, running their errand or they're at church or they see Sally Sue at the bus stop, and they can just hand an invitation out to those extra people that they may not have information for, like as far as a phone number or excuse me, an email address or a regular address or anything. Okay. So I'm going to skip back a minute.
Hey, Becky, how many of those postcard invites do you give each of your hosts?
I normally I break the packet in thirds. So I'll send like a third. I make like 3 host packets out of 1 packet of them. Is that ridiculous? I'm so cheap. I'm very cheap. But I just after.
It's not cheap, it's thrifty.
After doing as many shows, like I did 125 shows last year. Okay. So I just know, like in my experience, like that a lot of times I get them back. So I just don't want to waste the money for it, So again, you got to find what works for your business and for your host and for your customers. What works for me may not always work for you. But that's the best thing about this business is that you are able to see what works and kind of, test little things out. So I'm going to skip backwards. So most of that, remember, we were kind of at a show and we were actually booking the date there and we were handing the host packet out and we were starting the host coaching process there. That's the majority of what I just kind of taught and trained you guys, okay? So there's going to be times where you're booking a show over the phone, okay? Or you're booking a show through a message on Facebook. So when does the host coaching start then? So host coaching immediately starts. It's the same kind of level of expectations as far as, encouraging attendance and blah, blah, blah. But what I do is I book the date with them. I let them know that I'm going to mail out the host packet the next day to them. And then I schedule a time to talk to them with their preferred method of contact. Once I know that that packet has made it to them. And then I would just, everything I told you before, as far as, when you booked the show at the show, that's when I go into that whole, everything else that I just went through with you guys earlier. So I make sure they have the host packet in their hands. So as I'm talking to them, they literally can walk through that process with me as I'm walking them through the host packet. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So In-host coaching, a lot of times what I do find is that most people, again, they are texters, they are Facebook messengers, they are emailers, they do not like phone calls, okay? So I really try to work with whatever their preferred method of contact is. But I do inform them and let them know that we will need to have at least one actual conversation on the phone 48 hours out from their show. This is, for me, and has been, I would say, in the last year, I've actually increased my show average about $125 by doing this. The reason why this is so important, guys, is number one, if you've only talked to them via a message or a text or whatever, you've really not had a chance to bond with them or hear their excitement for their show or let them hear your excitement for their show. So it lets you bond with them. But most importantly, this is the crucial time to really see how many people are coming to their show. By then, they roughly know around how many people they're expecting. Okay? And when I talk to them, I wouldn't say, "Oh, Leslie, how many people you think are coming to your show?" That's not what I'm going to ask. What do you guys think the question I'm going to ask is? Got you guys all stumped. I love it.
Are people excited to come to your show?
Close. So, Brittany, how many confirmed guests are you expecting at your party? Confirmed. Okay. There's a difference between me asking, "So, Angela, how many people you think are going to show up at your show?" "Oh, well, I've got, I don't know, eight that'll say yes, and 2 that are maybes, and then there's a couple that I just don't know." So how many of them are confirmed, right?
So you actually say, how many confirmed guests do you have coming?
Yes.
Just like that?
Just like that. I ask them how many confirmed guests they have coming to their show. At that point, if they give me a flaky answer like, "Well, I really don't know," or I've only heard back from 3 definites, or maybe they tell you, "Hey, I've got 15 that are confirmed." Woohoo! Awesome! Kudos! You've done an amazing job. If they have 15 confirmed guests, then you need to be over the moon excited for them and like make sure that they know how awesome of a job that they have done, confirming those people that are coming. If they tell you, "Oh, well, I only have like 2 or 3 confirmed guests right now," then your hair needs to be on fire, okay? Not with them, but it's kind of a situation where, again, we bring back out that wish list and we remind them of why they're having the party, okay? And then at that point, what I do is I create another red stamp for them, but it's a party reminder red stamp. And I have them send that out that day after we get off the phone call and I have sent that to them. I have them send that out that day as a reminder. And I tell her or him, the host, "I'm going to touch base with you tomorrow just through a message or whatever, an email. Can you please let me know how many confirmed guests you have at that point so I can make sure I have enough products and supplies with me." So since I've started doing that, I can tell you guys my show average has increased. The amount of guests that I'm seeing has increased because I immediately have time to react to it, okay? If you don't have that phone call and you're just going off of, messages, you're walking into it blind, okay? And you can probably expect to have lower attendance. The last thing that I do on that 48-hour phone call is I make sure that they know all of their benefits, so I just want to make sure, Ashley, that you had a chance to look at all of our amazing benefits and, which of those are you really excited about? Are you excited about the free stuff? Like, are you excited you're going to be able to get your girl can for free maybe or half price? And then I let them know about the last benefit that we forget to talk about all the time. And that's our opportunity. Okay. That is a part of our host benefits package. So I let them know right then. I'm like, so, Becky, I don't know if you've even thought about this before or not, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't bring it up. So I'm just going to put it out there. So have you ever thought about doing something like I do? And most of the time they're like, oh, well, I've never really thought about it. And then I say, well, as a part of your actual host rewards, you can actually use $25 or $50 of your free product towards starting your own business. So if that's something that you want to do, we can actually go ahead and make this part of your grand opening show, and you can start earning commission on it on Saturday. So I give her the chance right then to kind of, decide whether this might be something. And most of the time, what I hear from people is, you know what, I just don't know. I've thought about it. Maybe I'd like to do it, but let me have my party first. So that opens that door back up then, so that at the party, they can see how much fun it is. They can see how much, products that they're going to earn. And then before you close your show, you just ask that same question over again. So, aren't you excited about all the free products that you're going to get, Angela? Wouldn't you like to use some of that, towards, the small kit, blah, 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 whatever. So host coaching, you guys can all see where host coaching is really important probably. The last step of host coaching is making sure that they know closing date on your party. We had a nationwide leaders call yesterday. And, from time to time, home office does surveys of our customers to find out, the things that they're loving, the things that they're not loving, as far as us as consultants and their experience at parties and experience as hosts. And what they're finding is that the average from the time a party happens to the time the party closes is how many days do you guys think?
Oh, I bet you it's about 10 or 12, isn't it? 10 or 12.
I'm going to say 2 weeks.
Say 2 weeks.
The average company-wide is 10 days.
I kind of figured.
So, as a guest at a party, if we're not closing the show for 10 days, okay, and then on average, our shipping is about 5 to 7 days. And then you figure by the time the host schedules a time to meet with that person to give them their product, most of the time it's like 3 weeks. So that's really impacting the customer experience overall and their desire to book a party with us. So that's something that they really want us to try to get better at, is that number one, that we are in part of our host coaching, we want to remind the hosts that guests can actually have their orders shipped directly to them, which will not only save our host time, but will actually save our guest time. And it's really not that much more money. I mean, you're talking $2, for an order that's under $100. The average company order is like $60. So we're just going to say the average order, it's only $2 more for them to ship it right to their door. When you think about the price of gas, that people are spending to either meet up or, Sally go to Susie's house or Susie go to Sally's house, most of the time it's cheaper for them to actually have it direct shipped. So they really want us to start encouraging direct shipping. And then the second thing that they really want us to start encouraging is setting that closing date as a part of host coaching with your host. Okay. So when again, it goes back to expectation. When you set the level of expectation with your host, Joanne, I know your party is on the 17th. And I want to make sure that, you know, your friends and family love their products. The way that I can do that is to make sure I get them in their home really quickly. So, you know, if you can make sure that you have the bulk of the orders collected before I get there to your party from the people that you know that are not going to be able to make it, then, you know, we can just kind of follow back up with people after the party, and we'll close it on the 20th. How about that? If they're insistent on it, you know, I will go like 5 days, but I don't go longer than 5 days. Most of the time what I find is people are working around a paycheck, okay? And that's most of the time, that's what they're waiting for, is a paycheck. You guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if it's such a big deal, paycheck wise, I try as hard as I can, but again, I don't go over 5 days. And that's just because, you know, think about it. How many of you guys know how much is in your bank account right now? Right.
$20.
Right. So if I'm spending $100 at a party on the 17th, and my consultant or the consultant is not processing that order until the 27th, what are the odds that I still have that money in my account?
0.
Okay. How many of you guys have run into declined credit cards?
Not yet.
Once
Not
or
yet?
twice. A couple of times.
Yeah.
And it was the same person.
I have, and I always like cross my fingers when I press submit.
Well, the one thing I like is, no, but the one thing I like is that when you click that, and I know declined credit cards can be a problem for everybody, but when you click to submit that show, you know immediately that it's not going to go through because, you know, it tells you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does it say?
It'll just tell you credit card declined, and it'll give you the person's name and the last 4 of their credit card number.
Yeah.
And so the show won't submit until that credit card is fixed.
Nope.
So while we're on this subject, I have a question.
Okay.
If a check bounces at my bank, they charge me $40.
Right.
So I've been telling people if they write me a check and it bounces, I will charge them $40.
Yeah.
Right.
Is
Exactly.
that wrong of me to tell them that?
No.
No.
And it's
I do that.
actually, if you use the home office receipts, it's actually on the back side of it, under the payment section. It does say that there might be a charge per the consultant for a bounce check.
And I make them pay me in cash
Yeah.
for their order and the bounce check fee.
Absolutely. So I can tell.
So will they actually make it right, or will they just cancel their order?
No, their order's already processed.
So they don't have a choice at that point.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Becky, I thought they were going to start shipping everybody's order right when it's put in before the show closes. When does that start?
That's good. We're a while out for that still. There's 2 test programs. There's 2 pilot programs. Okay. There's the original pilot program, and then there is another pilot program that just started today. They could only do 500 people at a time as they're testing this out, because what they have to do is they're going to have to actually expand our warehouse and expand our shipping area, because they're going to have more individual orders that are going out. So instead of, you know, whole shows being shipped and submitted and processed, you're now going to have, you know, instead of it being 15 orders in this box, you're now going to have, you know, all of these orders going here and there and here and there and here and there. So they actually have to change the way that our lines are set up and all kinds of other things in the warehouse to accommodate that. So there's still, before it rolls out company-wide, it'll probably be about another year, Joanne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. What? They're going to ship orders as they're entered into a guest list for a host?
Yeah. Individual orders.
There's a program that they're working on. It's called Direct Ship Now, and it's just like 31. Okay, 31 does this. that let's say, you know, Becky, you're the host of a party for 31. And as people, let's say they can't come to your party, but they're ordering online to your show. Okay. Let's say Leslie ordered something. Instead of waiting for that show to close, they actually go ahead and process and submit the order for Leslie when she submits it online under your party.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad. I thought it was something else.
That's direct ship though, right, Becky? That's
Yeah, it's called the program is actually going to be called Direct Ship Now. But what's going to happen though is when this is the other part that they're testing right now, is that actually every guest order is going to be direct shipped instead of it going to the host and her having to disperse it.
That's okay too, as long as they don't do it before the show is submitted as a whole.
But that's what they're looking at, Becky. They're actually looking at the orders will be submitted and shipped before the show is closed.
That doesn't make any sense. How do you know then what your show total is?
Because it adds it up. It adds it up the same way.
yeah.
The best thing about it is the fact that people's credit cards are processed at that time. So you're not going to have any more of these declining credit cards. You're not going to have people waiting 21 days for orders. You know, they're immediately going to be taken care of. Because again, it all goes back, you know, back to the customer experience part of it. So again, it's in the test stages. So I don't know all of the details of it. I just know the bits that we've talked about on the director conference calls. Okay. So I would encourage you guys, though, as a part of host coaching, to actually make sure you set a firm close date for your party. And again, that's to really help with your customer experience and for the company's customer experience. So, all right. So what questions do you guys have on host coaching? I know that your heads are probably ready to explode because I gave you a lot of information. Yes, I'm going to post all of my notes later. I have them saved on the Evernote file, so I'll post everything I went through. I have kind of an outline of my process also in another document that I can post for you guys. It's in an Evernote file. But other than that, what questions do you guys have?
Oh, I have one. I've been thinking about it. I keep forgetting to ask. Do we have a special wish list on paper that we can put in our party packet?
Yeah.
If not, I can use my Stampin' Up! One.
Yeah,
A special wish list? Yeah, there's
And where
you can print it out online. Hey, how many of you guys have seen the new host packet folders?
I think I've seen them, but I just made my own wish list on Google Drive that I use all the time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can easily create one, but there is one available, Joanne. If you go onto Consultant's Corner and in the search bar, just type in wish list. It should pull it up for you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. What other questions?
Can you either email or post a list, and I'm sure you've done this before, of things that should go in a host packet?
Yep. And it's actually my outline, like my timeline. Yeah, she's got it. My timeline that I'm going to post in that's got that, or I can't even talk. That's in the Evernote file that kind of walks you through step by step on my process. It's got all of the documents that I put in my host coach or in my host packet.
Okay, Evernote.
Here's another thing. If we're asking hostesses to get 5 orders before the show, are you giving them 5 order forms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I've only been given 2 or 3 out. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people just aren't getting them. But I'll start telling them to do it ahead of time, then I'll just increase my number in my packet.
Yeah. And what I do, I offer an incentive to my hosts, and it makes it worth it for me. I offer, if they have $250 in outside orders before I get to their party, then they get a free brownie. Yep, exactly what Leslie has in her hand. I will give them a free brownie pan or a $20 product of their choice on their host order when we submit their show.
Okay.
So again, you know, I'm not going to end up paying $20 because I'm going to use it as a part of the host rewards. You know, normally I'll get the 20 to 30% discount on it, and then I get paid commission on it, and then I get my trip points on it. So I normally don't pay full price for it. But peace of mind is huge. Like when I walk into someone's home, again, if I already know that their show is qualified, then I can have the biggest, grandest old time, you know, imaginable.
Becky, is it Evernote alternative? New Evernote alternative, or just Evernote?
Evernote.
Just Evernote. What do you mean, Beck?
I just Googled, and it's come up with new Evernote alternative is the first #1 thing. And then all the rest of them are just Evernote.
You mean you're looking for my document?
No, I'm Googled. I'm on a Google page that's giving me a list of what to choose. Just Evernote.com.
Yeah, yeah. There's an app. There's an app for your phone, and then you can also create. You haven't created an Evernote account before?
I don't know.
Because most of the time, if I post anything, most of the time it's saved in Evernote.
Yeah, and I click on it and it opens.
Yeah. You don't have an account that you can actually save what I post.
Probably not.
Okay. So
I'll try.
Evernote's going to be something else that I'm going to do a training on here soon because, again, it's a free resource for you guys. Instead of tying up a lot of space on your computer, you can actually just save them, and they're kind of like a cloud, basically, for your files. But there's a lot of other things that you can use it for. So that'll have to be another training another day. All right, Heather, any questions on host coaching or anything else? You look like you're about to fall asleep. All righty, Leslie, any questions?
I don't think so. I was taking notes like mad whenever you were speaking, so I think it's pretty cool.
I know it's hard to get everything into 1 hour. I mean, I could probably train on host coaching like 50 times, and break it down step by step. But
well, actually, today I gave out a host packet because I'm doing a show on the 15th, and this gal wanted to do a cooking show. She wasn't one of these people that say, "Oh, well, I could probably do a catalog show," and she didn't want to do that. She wants an in-home cooking show. And I gave her host packet. So everything we went over here tonight is going to be most helpful. And I do see her pretty frequently, but I will be calling her and urging her to use the wish list that I did put in her packet so that we can talk about, because I know she saw the lady that was sitting next to me. I was at another meeting and she wanted to see what the veggie spiralizer was.
Right.
So I pulled the catalog out of the host packet real quick and I said, this is what it is. And she said, oh, that's really neat. Well, then the gal who's having the show, she said, I really like that. She said, that's going to be one of the things I work for. And so that, of course, like I said, everything here that we've talked about tonight is going to be so helpful when I talk to her. Say, hey, make that wish list out. Let's talk about your wish list and, let's shoot for some, goal here for what you want to get.
And again, the more you do it, the easier it's going to become, But what you're going to find is the other reason you want high attendance other than high sales is because that's where you're going to get your bookings at.
Yeah.
Okay. If you walk into a house and there's only 5 guests at the party, most likely you may end up with 1 booking. How awesome would it be to, walk into a house of 15 people, end up with like 3 or 4 bookings,
mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's going to get your business to really kind of kick off. And that's why we always stress you guys that cooking shows are so important, because when you're in front of people, they can see who you are, they can see how much fun you are, and then that's what's going to create the desire for them to want to do a show with you. And let's face it, it's always a lot more fun when there's like 15 or 20 wild women in a room. Just saying.
Mike,
Becky C.
Get ready.
Becky C knows what my 15 to 20 girls look like, don't you?
Yeah.
All bunch.
Mike just agreed with what you said. 15 to 20 crazy women. Yeah.
Especially when they're drinking wine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, Joanne, any questions?
Nope, I already asked mine.
Okay. Angela?
I just need to clarify the order here. So I've got give them packet, call them in a couple of days, go over attendance, orders, and their wish list. Can you tell me just real brief what the other points of contact are for you? I know you said 48 hour.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do the actual phone call with them 48 hours out. And I would say, depending when I booked, I mean, most of the time I book about 3 to 4 weeks out. You know what I mean? Most of the time. Sometimes I book in close like 2 weeks. If you booked in close like 2 weeks, then you're gonna probably talk to them like 24 to 48 hours about the host packet. And then I would say I would probably follow up with them at about the week point. You know what I mean? So basically half of whatever time frame is kind of in between when you book the show and when their actual show is. So if you book the show 3 weeks out, then you would touch base like, halfway between that. If you booked it 4 weeks out, then you would touch base like 2 weeks with them. But the occasional message, hey, how are you doing? Or, whatever, just checking in with them is not a bad thing. But I try to contact them at least 2 to 3 times during the whole period between the time they schedule the show and the actual show. But there's always that one actual phone call 48 hours out if I don't talk to them on the phone before then.
Okay.
Okay. And again, you're going to find your rhythm with it. I mean, it's going to be a matter of, that's why my planner in that little black box is so important, because I can take those cards and I can just kind of move it through until I get to their show, and I know exactly what steps I've done, what I need to do. Has anybody set up their black box yet?
I did.
You did? Have you been using it?
Yeah, partially.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Any other questions? Were you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Becky, I'm going to be getting with you because I have questions about that joint show that I was telling you about. We actually set a date.
Okay. Awesome. Joint show.
Sorry.
Ooh, what are
Joint
you smoking?
We're doing remember the book I told you about?
I know. Yeah.
Never
Anyway.
mind.
Let me
Hi,
tell you,
guys.
Becky C, do you have any questions on host coaching?
No, I'm going to shoot you a little message later on about something else. So.
Okay. Ashley, any questions?
No.
Later.
Is that your little guy? That was so cute. Oh my gosh. No. I love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you guys need anything, I have nothing. Well, I have a couple of little things going on tomorrow and Thursday. Friday, I have a cooking show that night for our new consultant, Alice. Her first grand opening show. Saturday, I don't think I have a show, and Sunday, I don't think I have a show. So if you guys need any training calls, just let me know.
All righty.
All righty.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Night.